About it, I have invited somebody who can talk about it in person and who is doing it instead of just writing academical essays about it. Meet Masello. Thank you so much for coming. And I will make a short introduction to the subject and then we can talk. So we will talk about sensation, provocation, scandals, and protest, and all that this has to do with art. So there is a famous saying asking if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? The same question could be asked about art and the influence that it has on the society. If an artwork is exhibited in an empty gallery, does it matter? Did anyone hear about it? Did it influence the society? And probably the answer would be no. So this is Masello. She is an actress, singer, writer, poet, an amazing person. But she also cares about society. She's not only doing it for money or fame. And this is what's guiding her artistic activity. This is from a recent and very nice article. And two things that I like that were said about you. One is that you are a diva with a conscience. And the other one is yours, that you believe the truth needs its 50 minutes of fame. Can you please tell us more about yourself and explain what you mean by this?
Thanks for having me. We're in such a precarious state in this country right now. And I feel that artists have long been disconnected, even if they've been saying what needs to be said. But we exhibit in galleries, we have poems for fellow poets. You know what I mean? We hardly get into the very society that we claim to be concerned about. And at some point I had to question whether my work is being as effective as I would like it to be, because I was only preaching to the choir, saying things that needed to be said, but to the people that already knew them. And sometimes I'd find that you find a lot of artists saying the right things, but they're saying them not necessarily in the right language. Even in case of leadership, we had, for example, Thabo Mbeki, who had a wonderful vision for the continent. But if you go to Google it today and ask someone in the middle of the street, what is Thabo Mbeki's legacy? What was he talking about? Completely went over their heads. And he was saying really, really important things about the African Renaissance, what potential it would bring to the continent. But he was saying them in English, which a majority of people in South Africa don't speak. So, did anyone hear him? Does it matter? You know, I mean, if we look back, we'll find that it would matter. There will be other opportunities for other artists to interpret those words. But we end up having a place where the artists stand to one side and they discuss how bad things are. And at some point I stopped working as an artist and did full-time community work because I felt that I wasted my time. This is after the xenophobic attacks in 2010. I heard that they were going to happen, so to try and stop them, I started going around to taxi ranks when I was still based in Joburg, saying to people, why do you want to kill someone that looks like you? Because the way it's reported to us in the media is, it's xenophobia, it's xenophobia. But you don't see a South African professor killing a Kenyan professor or a doctor. You know, you don't find it at your upper class level. And only by going into such communities, I discovered that it's actually a class war. We've created new classes in this country. We used to have 1, 2, and 3. Now we've made 4 and 5. And they are so far apart that even as someone who claims to have grown up in the 3rd class, I have no idea. I have no relatives that work in a factory that are fighting for 50 rand a day jobs, but someone else from outside the country will take it for 25 rand. Those are not issues that I'm aware of. And if I hadn't gone into those communities, I would still think it's about xenophobia, because when I went into these communities, initially my message was, let's all be Pan-African, let's all be together, and I realized that my message was irrelevant. So ever since that period of my life, I've had to look at approaching art differently, and not just necessarily acting in other people's production, but producing my own material with very limited resources. So I first came up with the character of Julia Malema.
Will we will see it?
Yeah, who is a blonde lady who has nationalized the weave.
Which one would you rather to see first?
That one at the top.
The top.
Yeah. This is when Julius was suspended.
Is it loud enough?